This is your astrological forecast for Gemini in 2022. January through March. This astrology forecast is for those who have their sun in Gemini or a Gemini Ascendant, also known as the rising sign. In January, depending on what degree your sun or rising sign, it may prove to make this year lighter or harsher, since big things are occurring in the last 10 degrees of Capricorn and Pisces, as will be explained as we go through the year. If your sun or rising sign fall in the last 10 degrees or so of Gemini, this year may be harder on you. If your sun or rising sign fall in the lower degrees, then you may skate by with some influence from the planetary energies, but not be affected as drastically. Gemini is a mutable air sign ruled by the planet Mercury. Mercury represents your concrete, practical mind or your everyday thinking mind. Mutable air represents the ability to change. So mutable air in connection with your mind or thinking process makes you able to change your thoughts or beliefs very quickly. Because you have a quick mind and love learning, you enjoy teaching others what you've learned. Geminis like variety, so you may find yourself reading several books at the same time because you get bored easily. The true nature of a Gemini is they want to understand truth. They want to understand the entire picture. Therefore, to grasp an understanding, they may dabble in many subjects or many careers, not because of their boredom, but to learn and understand anything they're interested in. The big stellium happening in January is Venus, Pluto, and Mercury in cardinal Earth Capricorn. For Geminis, this is occurring in your 8th house. The 8th house is archetypally ruled by Scorpio, so the 8th house represents scorpionic things such as the subconscious mind, debt, death, transformation and metamorphosis, taxes, inheritance, and other people's money. Venus represents love, beauty, pleasure, attraction, and repulsion, and your relationship to anything. Mercury represents your mind, your everyday practical thinking, communication, exchanging, learning, and teaching. Pluto represents evolution, transformation, or quantum change, the hidden and unseen elements of life. Since 2008, Pluto has been in Capricorn in your 8th house. If you are a Gemini, you've felt the effects of Pluto at some point over the last decade. Pluto in Capricorn in the 8th house uncovers or unmasks, on the physical level, what we've kept hidden or suppressed from others. Capricorn is a cardinal Earth sign, which has to do with the slow and methodical process in the 8th house of diving deep within ourselves to process trauma, wounds, conditioning, and things holding us back. Pluto wants to heal us, but Pluto is a slow process, and Capricorn is this slow, steady, but diligent climb from the bottom of the hill to the mountaintop. You may be processing a death of a friend or a loved one, or any kind of mental impression that has been stuck or solidified in your subconscious. Currently, Mercury, your mind, is in this house with Pluto and Venus. Some of you may be healing a sexual wound or attraction to someone or something that doesn't serve you. If this hasn't been deeply investigated and looked at, this is the time to research. You may choose to ignore these issues. However, Pluto will find a way to bring them up to a point where it is unbearable to live. You must look within, because that is the evolutionary necessity of Pluto. He must tear down the structure of what needs rebuilding. The 8th house is your subconscious that needs tearing down and rebuilding. It sounds scary and very daunting, but we must heal that which no longer serves us so we can transform ourselves into something beautiful. Quantum change is a process of shedding our past, just like the caterpillar sheds or tears away from its cocoon and flies away as a butterfly into the sky with all its beauty. Psychotherapy along with meditation are wonderful ways to heal trauma in the psyche and transform your life. This is also not a good time to fall into debt, which may prove difficult at this time. You may find a loved one passing away during this transit and receive an inheritance. Saturn is in fixed air Aquarius in your 9th house of legal issues, higher learning, philosophy, and religion. Saturn represents the government, rules, laws, boundaries, limitations, fear, anxiety, and depression. Saturn is in the keyword inspiration, so this is where you are learning the rules to the game of life before Saturn moves into your 10th house. You're learning how to convey ideas of your own so that you can more skillfully play in the game of life more assuredly and with confidence. You must watch out for becoming too confident at this time. Thinking you know and understand everything is a setup to failure. Keep an open mind. Since the 9th house is legal matters and Saturn is the law, you may encounter legal difficulties during this transit. The study of religion, philosophy, and metaphysics may be areas you're attracted to as it pertains to learning about higher states of consciousness. Lastly, usually accidents don't occur with Saturn in the 9th house unless the planet is negatively aspecting it. Currently, and for some time now, Uranus in fixed Earth Taurus has been squaring or in a discordant aspect to Saturn. This aspect could manifest as a sudden accident, so be careful. For this whole year, Uranus will stay in Taurus in your 12th house with the keyword struggle. The 12th house is a very mystical house that has many meanings. Some people call it the house of karma, others the house of spirituality, and many other names. It is a very confusing and eluding house since archetypally it is the house of Pisces, ruled by Jupiter and Neptune. For a Gemini, this house cusp is Taurus, a fixed earth sign. Geminis are a mutable air sign ruled by Mercury, so they don't really get attached to ideas or things as much as other signs. They pride themselves on their adaptability to move from one thing to another with ease. Well, fixed earth Taurus is the exact opposite of that, and this rules your 12th house. So you may find you have a fixed understanding or perspective of spirituality despite your mind's ability to fluctuate through various thought forms and ideas. With Uranus in your 12th house, he is enlightening you to situations and scenarios on the earth plane that you may not have noticed. Uranus is enlightening everything he comes in contact with. The 12th house rules prisons, hospitals, ashrams, asylums, isolation, withdrawal, and retreat from the world, but is also a place of very deep spiritual learning. Some of your learning may have to do with Uranus's square to Saturn. You have Saturn in your 9th house of legal affairs, religion, and philosophy, squaring Uranus in your 12th house of spirituality and karma. The enlightened mind squaring off with rules, laws, and boundaries creates fear. What is the fear? Fear of knowing the ultimate truth, the truth about everything. A Gemini wants to know and understand the truth no matter the cost. They excel at understanding deep ideas and pontificating about ideas that most people could care less about. It is highly recommended to get into some form of meditation or spiritual practice to go beyond the physical understanding of fixed earth Taurus and into higher spiritual truths that Uranus, the higher mind, can take you. This will give you a much bigger and broader understanding of the world and the universe in which you are questioning at this time. Saturn is the lowest vibrational frequency, and Uranus is a high vibrational frequency. Therefore, Saturn, through fear, is restricting and limiting your freedoms on the earth plane. Uranus may be awakening you to fears within yourself that cause you to want to withdraw and retreat from the world. This is the time to face those fears by becoming inventive and pushing through them. April through June. Through March, April, and May, Jupiter will be conjunct Neptune and Pisces in their greatest strength. This conjunction is occurring in your 10th house of career and status, in the 3rd or spiritual decanate with the keyword vicissitudes. Vicissitudes represents a wide variety of life experiences, such as entering many careers, being adaptable and likable, and requiring excitement and change. This area of the zodiac really focuses on cleaning up things we would expect in other areas of the zodiac or other decanates to have done. Neptune is completing its 165-year cycle through the zodiac, and so this period is very significant, especially with Jupiter forming a conjunction with Neptune. With vicissitudes as the key word for Neptune-Jupiter in the area of career, You may find yourself changing careers. You may start up a new career in the field of spirituality, channeling or healing work, substance abuse counseling, working with dying people or the poor, or reporting the news. This doesn't necessarily mean mainstream news, but news on topics you're interested in and on media platforms that allow you to have your own channel and voice. Geminis love to talk, so any career in communication that involves writing, teaching, or speaking is right up your alley. Although moving into a career like this sounds exciting and wonderful, this transit will most likely prove to be the most difficult for you this year, especially if your sun or ascendant is in the last 10 degrees of Gemini. Why? Because the 10th house squares your sun ascendant, meaning this will be a trying time in your life. Neptune may be the planet of spirituality. However, Neptune's high vibrational frequency and a negative aspect causes us to become confused, disillusioned, and sensitive to the truth. As a Gemini, your personality, or how others see you, may be called into question. You may have a hard time perceiving who and what you really are. This sounds bizarre, I know, but your sense of self might become blended into an imaginative world where you aren't seeing or understanding things correctly. Jupiter will magnify and expand Neptune's influence in your life. So if you think you are confused and disillusioned now, just wait until this transit takes effect mid-April. This transit makes you unsure of where you are going in life and can be a cause of great fear. If you feel your work or career is spiritually fulfilling to you, this transit will affect you deeply at your core. You may question whether or not you should continue to do what you are doing, if your work even really mattered, and if there was any real purpose to what you have been doing. The crisis really is discovering there is more to life than what you have been doing. This is what may spark you to change directions in your life, specifically your career. The answer to these deep questions that you are disillusioned by are not based in truth. You'll find the truth is you need to change your attitude and perspective towards that which you are doing. This is a time about dissolving ego issues revolving around the question people ask you, what do you do? If you're worried or concerned that your job or career justifies your purpose and validates who you are, this transit will be difficult. You are not your job or career. You should try to be less attached to what you are doing. This is a time in your life where your career or job should be an expression of or an extension of who you truly are. This is where you'll find yourself to be most successful. Diving deeper into this aspect hitting your ascendant, Neptune is an ego-denying planet that works to dissolve boundaries. Remember, Jupiter is a wonderful planet that gives hope, joy, optimism, and abundance, but negatively aspected as it is now will have you questioning many things about your life and people in it. You may find yourself asking metaphysical questions about people in your life. There is a spiritual lesson here for you to learn, and Neptune is the planet of detachment. You may need to detach yourself from people in your life or from material objects that no longer serve you. This isn't the time to be signing documents or going into business with someone. Wait until this transit is over around the end of May. If you're in trouble or get into some kind of trouble, ask yourself how in the world you got into this predicament. You may find it's due to surrounding yourself with dishonest people. Why are you attracting dishonest people? These people are serving a purpose in your life. The purpose is for you to discover. However, most likely you'll find you were trying to protect something or someone that wasn't really worth it. July through September. Just like earlier in the year, Uranus in your 12th house is still squaring Saturn, which in turn also squares your nodes. But now Uranus is conjunct your north node of where you want to be headed and opposing your south node of where you don't want to be headed. But the significance is deeper than usual, for your nodes cross over your ascendant-descendant line. Uranus and the north node in Taurus are in the keyword struggle, opposing your south node in Scorpio in responsibility. The future lies in becoming enlightened to deep and profound truths about your life. The key word struggle referred to here is about breaking free from restrictions. Are you in your own self-isolated prison? Are you physically isolated somewhere? Are your beliefs solidified with no room for change? Uranus is working to break you free of the past and move you into a new and brighter future. This may be revealed to you by moving you into a place in your life where you can break free of all the self-limiting and self-sabotaging structures in your life and achieve physical as well as spiritual freedom and independence. There may be a deep karmic lesson for you that you are working through at this time. If you haven't realized it yet, it will come, and it will come quickly and unexpectedly. Much is changing for Geminis this year. It is a good thing you are a mutable air sign that has the adaptability to change directions like the wind. The good news is Saturn is moving past the aspect of squaring Uranus and the nodes, so his restrictions and confining ways will start to have less of an effect on you. From the middle of July to the end of July, the Sun and Mercury will be in Cancer in your second house of money and things you want, in conjunct Saturn and Aquarius in the 8th house, and opposing Pluto and Capricorn in the 8th house. This is a short-lived transit that might prove to be a tough couple of weeks. Many things could come up during this time. You might be arguing about money with a spouse or partner. You may have to go over things about the death of someone and settle an estate issue. You may receive an inheritance and enter a legal case for your share. There could be a possibility of spending too much money and you fall into debt. Bankruptcy costs money and often requires a lawyer. Overall, the transit may pass by and nothing significant happens. October through December. Moving into October and the end of the year. October 14th in your first house of self, the moon conjuncts Mars in Gemini, connecting to an already formed but short air grand trine in Libra, with the Sun, Venus in your 5th house of fun, joy, creativity, children, betting and gambling, and love affairs, and Saturn and Aquarius in the 9th house of the law, higher education, philosophy, religion, and long trips. An air grand trine is the best aspect possible, so this is wonderful news. Air is about communication, and we have communication going well on all levels in this grand trine. Mars moon in reason, which is enlightened thinking, may spark you to communicate whatever is on your mind. The Sun, Venus are in expiation, which has to do with following the dictates of the laws of man or the laws of God, the source, or whatever term we want to use for a higher power. Saturn is an inspiration, which refers to having unlimited resources in imaginative creation. Saturn is saying to follow your passion in whatever field allows your mind to exert itself. During this time, the ideas or beliefs you are communicating should be convincing people of something you are passionate about. Now the Sun, Venus are in the 5th house in Libra. Libra is not only about balance, it is about judgment and discernment. Are you valuing what you are communicating? Are you allowing your thoughts to be filtered before speaking? You don't want to get yourself in trouble saying something you shouldn't have. Although the air grand trine is nice, you have Pluto squaring your Sun, Venus, and in conjunct Mars, Moon through this transit. So be careful not to reveal secrets or things you shouldn't say. Saturn has also gone retrograde to catch up on some unfinished business, and he is back directly squaring Uranus and the nodes. So legal issues are still at play. Mars conjunct Moon in your 1st house may cause your emotions to get the best of you, and you speak out in a raging fit. So beware. Pay attention. Don't speak everything on your mind. Use your best judgment and discernment in matters of communication. This transit can also be beneficial to others, so you may find yourself communicating ideas that help others. This is a wonderful opportunity to use communication through writing, teaching, and speaking if it is in a positive way. Remember, expiation asks us whose dictates we are following. Are we following man's laws or God's laws? What you are thinking and communicating matters in a sense that a higher power is watching, listening, and knows what you are doing. Expiation also asks if we are using our minds to keep our friends, neighbors, community, and country in poverty and ignorance and work to enslave them, or to be a champion for them in ways that help them prosper. Your voice, no matter what position in life you happen to be in, influences other people. Are you helping raise people up by your thoughts, words, and deeds, or are you working to keep them down? The end of November and beginning of December, Mars will be in Gemini in your first house of self. Mars will be propelling you into action in terms of working on yourself. The keyword for Mars in Gemini is fidelity, which means loyalty. That's loyalty to yourself and your health. Starting an exercise routine or doing anything outgoing will benefit you during this time. The Sun, Mercury, and Venus will be in Sagittarius in your 7th house of marriage and partnership, opposing Mars. If you're married or have a partnership, for example, a business partnership, your husband, wife, or business partner may be opposed to your views. Mars is in your house of self and about you taking action. Your partners may disagree with taking a form of action at this time. Focus on working on yourself and things will fall into place. Venus is attraction and repulsion. Your partners want to be attracted to you and what you have to say, so doing things that benefit you should benefit them, as long as what you're doing isn't taking quality time away from them. Mercury, your mind, is thinking about the partnership. It's a good idea to remember a partnership is not just about you. You have to consider them in your decisions. The Sun is illuminating and purifying your partnerships, so this is a good time to remember to be somewhat selfless and allow yourself to listen to what your partners are communicating to you. Maybe you need to change some habits that would benefit your marriage or business partnerships. Saturn is in your 9th house of philosophy, religion, and higher education, forming a harmonious aspect to Mars in your 1st house. Saturn is in the keyword inspiration. Inspiration refers to being inspired by your philosophical or religious studies and beliefs. You may be diligent in your beliefs and even more diligent in studying more about them. Geminis love learning, writing, teaching, and speaking, so you may find you are resilient in sharing with others what you know and are learning. Most of all, you'll want to share your interest in these subjects in a convincing manner that you believe helps others. Going on a distant trip to expand your knowledge and wisdom is also a possibility during this time. Please subscribe to my channel and give a thumbs up if you like this video. To have a personal astrology reading with me, visit astrologywithjeffreybryan.com, or you can follow me on Instagram at astrologywithjeffreybryan or on Getter at Jeffrey Bryan. You can also subscribe to my blog at my website, astrologywithjeffreybryan.com, and also various types of meditations can also be found on my website. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everyone.